If there's one thing to say about the demo video, it's probably just that I'm having a ton of fun while I'm playing. I could play this thing endlessly. I find it endlessly entertaining, and that's kind of the idea. It's not the typical method of writing a song. Like, you don't get to choose what enters the song and what doesn't deliberately. It's up to the machines to decide that. And you just get to be surprised by what it gives you in the end, and you get to focus on playing your instrument and just enjoying yourself. And that's the idea right there. Alright, so the first thing you'll want to do after you download the Amanuensis is extract the Amanuensis 0.5 folder from the zip file. And you can place that anywhere on your computer, but don't move any of the files or folders in it. Just start up Amanuensis 0.5.exe or app if you're on Mac. And it'll take a little while to load. The main Max program will open up in a few different windows. After that, a visualizer made in Unity will come up, and that's when you'll know that it's done loading. You can do just about everything through the Unity visualizer as you can through the main Max program, so I'd recommend using the Unity visualizer. And you can hit escape to get to the menu in there to access all those same options. So the first thing in the menu you'll want to do is set up your audio driver. If you're on Windows, you'll want to use either an audio interface or install ASIO for all and use that, which is included in the zip file. You'll need to use an ASIO driver because the default Windows drivers just don't cut it for professional audio applications. And then you also want to make sure that that on-off button right there is blue and not gray or orange, and you can change that by clicking it. So one thing you do have to go back to the main Max window for is to set up the tracks you're playing with. It's the one thing you can't do from Unity, but it shouldn't absolutely be necessary because you should have two tracks set up by default, one for synths and one for samples. But if you want, you can edit as many of them as you want to get more synth tracks or more sample tracks, with more drum tracks, using the first box, the first drop-down menu there. And then all you have to do is play with your MIDI source, whether that's a keyboard or anything else, and the MIDI source will appear in one of the tracks. You can change which track you're playing in by using the plus and minus hotkeys, which is what I'm doing here. You can see the key rig 49 is moving from track 2 to track 3. And that will also show up in Unity with these status messages down at the bottom. And then you can use the page up and page down hotkeys to change your sound. So what that will do is if you hit page up, it will give you a new sound at random. And that's a new set of drum samples if it's a sample track, or a new synth with a new random preset if it's a synth track. You can also change it manually if you want, which would be the more traditional way to go. But I like to keep it fresh and challenging and interesting by using random sounds. The other option I'm going to turn on in this demo is to shuffle my selected instrument, the Keyrig 49, if I stop playing for a while. And that means it will move me to a new track and give me a new random sound, which allows me to move around and work on all the different layers of the song without having to explicitly click on anything. And I can just stay focused on playing my instrument and stay in the moment. So here I just begin playing. You just start jamming and wait for it to join in with you, just like a fellow musician in a jam session. And the bright circles represent what I'm playing, while the dark circles represent what it is playing. And I say it is playing, but really what it's doing is recording you, taking the best of what you give it and looping it back around you. The dark circles and the sound that starts blending in with you is actually a looped recording that will develop with you and create an entire song as you play. Here you can see I changed tracks and I'm using a new sound, and now I'm getting bright green circles along with the dark blue. The dark blue being the drum track that has already been recorded automatically, what I was just playing. And the song develops from there. If you look in the top left, you can see a few different stats, including the current length of the song, which grows automatically as the system incorporates more and more things that it likes. And here's a third track with a new sound, and now you see bright yellow circles appearing. So one of the ideas of this visualizer is that it turns writing music into much more of a game. And if this is a game, the goal of the game here would be to try to hit the circles when they're at their biggest, just before they disappear. And if you do that, you see they will double in size and you get a score that pops up. And eventually you can see that the circles are pulsing with the rhythm of the song. So therefore, the more circles you hit, the more in rhythm your playing is. The more of it will incorporate into the growing song, and the better your song will get. So the game encourages you to do well and basically helps teach you how to jam. There is a second visualization mode too, which I just activated here. It can be activated through the menu or by hitting the Enter hotkey. It's really more of a diagnostic mode, but it looks pretty sweet in its own right. It helps visualize the intervals between the beats more clearly, whereas the other one was just chaos. And there's actually a third visualization mode, which hasn't been implemented yet, but that's even more of a video game. In that mode, you vie for control of a fleet of spaceships that fly around the screen and attack each other, competing with the recorded loops as your adversary. and I intend to make any number of these rhythm games like this that you can just play, not worrying about the music at all, and wind up writing a whole soundtrack to the game you're playing as you play it, with fully recorded songs produced for you in the process. So when you're done with your song, it's up to you when you want to be done. You just stop playing. And it will then play through the song one last time and let you listen to it before it exports automatically. There are a couple more options on the menu I want to go through here. First of all, you can choose where your recordings and project files are all exported to in the first option here. You can also load up any project you were working on before and begin right where you left off, continuing to add to it at any time in the future. And another thing you can do is select an audio file to begin a new project with it as a backing track. So any audio file on your computer, previous recordings of your own or other music you would like to play along with, and the system will begin to build on top of that. So that in particular is a really great way to build up and develop songs quickly. You can take the recordings that export and load them back in as backing tracks once you've solidified something you like, and just keep adding on top of it layer by layer and get a good feedback loop going until you're churning out songs and songs a day. But these are just a few of the options that are available. There's a lot more functionality that I can't get into for the sake of this demo. You can play with any instrument you want, really. You could play with a regular guitar, you could beatbox, you could use a game controller as an instrument, you could stand in front of a Kinect and dance and swing your arms around to play music. It gets in depth. If you want to explore that, get a hold of me and I can help you out with it if you like. Yeah, links are in the description.